Okay, so to pick it up at part two in the story of Angela Dawson. Catch you up to speed, just a brief recap, even though you might be watching this straight through. Real quick, Angela Dawson, transgender individual, originally from Winnipeg, did murder somebody in Winnipeg, um, did their time, got out, went to BC, got gender reassignment surgery, had a run in with the Vancouver police. A couple times she got arrested. When she got arrested, she went to the jail. So she made a complaint in court that she was discriminated against because of being transgender by the police and by the jail. The police said, "We'll hit you off 15,000, but we didn't do anything. We'll make some changes in the future, but there's nothing on our part that we didn't really violate." So she's like, "Yeah, we'll take the 15 off you, but now we're going to have to deal with what happened in the jail." So the VPB, the Vancouver Police Board, when I'm saying that, she said, has engaged in systemic discrimination against trans people concerning their identification. Within 1 year, police boards were to be adopted by VPB to allow identification of trans people without discrimination. Officers were to be trained in implementation of these policies. So, she got a little bread. They're supposed to change the policies, like, tighten up. Like, you see this person's trans, put whatever they identify as. Like, it's, at this point, 2020, 10 window frame, things are progressing towards that direction. So they call her Roller Girl. Roller Girl snuggled up closely to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and tried to ask him questions in Nelson Park in advance of the Vancouver Pride Parade. She was shooed away by Liberal Party of Canada officials as Trudeau's security staff and Vancouver police stood by. So she pulled up on JT. He's at the Pride Parade, so he's there. He's up in it. I don't know what the security is expecting they're gonna run into or whatever. So he's at Vancouver Pride Parade, but I guess Roller Girl tried to roll up, and JT kind of like cold shouldered it, like, "Yo, like you be seeing these." I won't name names, but it's people, they get money and then they want to get the security and, big washed up football players walking around with some t-shirts or something. Like, I don't know what they jaw like. I don't know what's been tested and been not. I got to test off before I'm really convinced. But JT put the boys on her and dismissed. So what does Roller Girl decide to do? She ran for mayor of Vancouver in the 2018 election. One Vancouver citizen described her aptly as someone who has encountered her in a near professional environment multiple times. They could confirm she has some severe mental health issues that result in near 100% violent, aggressive, and confrontational behavior. Regardless of how professional, polite, and courteous you are, she'll play the discrimination card and truly make your life miserable. So we've got interesting people from Winnipeg. This one ranks high in my scale. It's just start to finish. Like, we don't hear much about life in Winnipeg, other than her murdering somebody here. I think the fact that, like, she's murdered somebody, they kind of didn't really seem to factor that into much. So I wouldn't call it like a mischaracterization to say she's 100% violent, because she's definitely murdered a man here where she's from. Um, but out west, she basically just raised over $11,000 for a GoFundMe at the time that I wrote that. And so her GoFundMe reads as follows. Roller Girl is deprived of her humanity because she's different. She often feels terrorized by the way people treat her. She wants to help other people but faces discrimination because of her identity. She's had her belongings taken away from her, clothing, collectibles, and important keepsakes. Her building manager is using the VPD to harass her in her home. You may have seen her out in the streets directing traffic. She is a staple of the downtown Eastside, but harassment from police, her landlord, and even local businesses make it hard for her to exist. Roller Girl needs money for clothing, food, and general living expenses. Having a secure source of money helps keep Roller Girl empathetic and stable. She has a clothing line that she wants to grow so she can help the Children's Hospital. Roller Girl has run for mayor of Vancouver in 2018. She's run for park board in 2022. She is a legend. Please help her. I don't know. They hit her off 11 bands on the GoFundMe. I don't think people would hit me shit. But I'm not a legend. I will respect the legend. They backed it. They said, you damn right, you legend. Let me hit you off. She cashed out now 11. So she's played the card twice and cashed out. We at 26. I know you're like, oh, what's it going to go? What is she cooking up? I don't honestly remember. We're going to find out. I'm not sure. So of all the convicted murderers we have researched from Winnipeg, Roller Girl stands out amongst the most fascinating. The downtown east side of Vancouver is brimming with unique individuals who have varying colorful personalities. It's not confirmed, but widely believed that she is addicted to methamphetamine. There is no discussion of Roller Girl without the coinciding discussion about transsexuality. The matter was certainly much less widely accepted for a majority of Miss Dawson's life, and reluctantly for many, if not most, Miss Dawson is a civil rights pioneer for trans rights in Canada. Diametrically, she is also characterized by many as a meth-addicted, violent, convicted murderer. According to the 1996 British Columbia Law Reform Project on Human Rights and the transgendered community, male to female sex reassignment surgery ranges from between $5,000 and $10,000. That is the rough cost of the surgery, which is paid by the Canadian taxpayers. Yukon is considered the gold standard by advocates. The territory reduces the number of specialists required to sign off on procedures, removes the pathologizing term and requirement of gender dysmorphia diagnosis, and offers public health coverage for residents requiring rarely covered gender-affirming procedures like facial feminization, laser hair removal, and tracheal shaves. So, if you want to get the, I don't know, I don't want to put names on it, but, you know, like if you want to get it all the way right, you know, you got to go to Yukon for that, is what they said. Yeah. 5 to 10, to me, it's not crazy. For how often it's coming up, I don't really think it's a drain on anything. I don't think it's anything to really worry about. So the tag isn't really that crazy. And I mean, she's getting more money just for like complaining about people like not putting enough respect on her name. So, and in Yukon, apparently you can get the full gambit, and it might be a little more, but I won't get too sidetracked. It's just like, to me, I don't know what's right, because it's like, if somebody's really on that, you kind of got to start them young, but then if you start them young, it's like, they better be really sure, you know. It's 5 to 10, so I don't want to name off names and them, but you getting the Elon daughter joint, might gotta go to Yukon. If you getting the D-Wade daughter joint or whatever, you might gotta go to Yukon or whatever. But what they got for you, the basic kit is 5 to 10. You want to go stage 2, stage 3, you might got to go to Yukon for that. You got to move there, situate, and then get right. So all provinces and territories, for instance, provide health coverage for genital sex reassignment surgery. But most health departments require a psychiatrist and another expert to approve and refer for the procedure. Wait times for psychiatrists can be years long in some communities. Most provinces and territories require documented gender dysmorphia for gender-affirming treatment, including access to hormones and any type of gender-affirming procedure. The International Classification of Diseases removed gender diversity from its list of psychiatric diagnoses, and it is no longer considered a psychiatric disorder. So that's an important thing to understand about Canadian law, and things that we're going to get into inevitably on the Winnipegology podcast, if or when it relates to Winnipeg. If somebody is trans and goes and shoots somewhere up or whatever the case, you can't say anymore that there's a psychotic underlying situation to revoke their right from obtaining these firearms legally with a valid acquisition license. That being said, in Canada, they are stripping gun rights down pretty bare. But it doesn't take much when your whole population is completely unarmed. So somebody might walk around with a stick and a nail at some point and overthrow fucking Nunavut or something. Like, I don't know. They probably got them up there, but regular town, not so much. But nowadays, if you're gender diverse, we don't look at that any longer as a psychological disorder. So it's not treated as such any longer. Gender dysmorphia is what they used to call it. Once it was removed internationally, most provinces and territories don't offer the mental health supports for it anymore. And so that includes the appointments of the required psychiatrists or experts. And so while gender-affirming genital surgery is covered by most provinces and territories, there are only 3 clinics in which these procedures can be done. A private clinic in Montreal, which is Centre Metropolitain de Chirurgie. I went to summer school for French, so I dropped that as soon as I could. I apologize to anybody who speaks French. A small public clinic that's part of the Women's College Hospital in Toronto, and the Gender Surgery Program BC, a public clinic in BC which only treats BC and Yukon residents. It does not seem that the physical aspects of gender reassignment are covered in most provinces. They cover a fair bit in Manitoba, such as chest masculization, so that's if you're becoming a woman to a man, hysterectomy, and oophorectomy. I've heard of hysterectomy. I don't know oophorectomy as much. Metoidioplasty. I definitely didn't get into med school at all. Orchiectomy, penectomy, vaginoplasty, feminizing voice therapy, and laser hair removal. So they cover a fair bit here. Some of that I didn't even understand. Partially conditionally covered is breast augmentation on a case-by-case basis, and hormone therapy, which may be applicable for support as non-insured benefits subject to person's eligibility in the pharmacare program or through personal third-party insurance coverage. So, and then if you're Seeking services that excluded by legislation or regulation don't meet the current standard. There's independent departments of health that you can make appeals to, the Manitoba Appeals Board, but what's not covered is the facial feminization surgery, the tracheal shave, the electrolysis, the hair transplantation, or voice pitch surgery. So it sounds like there's a lot that goes into these things. Like quite a bit. I wrote this and I wasn't even really up to speed. Like some of it's copy paste along the way, you know, so I'm taking this in right now, presently myself here. It's kind of like, wow, like that's a lot to go through and to do. Like, try doing that many things in like a workout, right? That's like, well, not all of that's for the same genders and stuff, but I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot, and in Manitoba, a lot's covered, but a lot's not. I don't see, like, I don't know. All right, again, just my opinion. Like, why get them 3/4 of the way? Like, at least, like, if you go get them there, get them there. So now you're going to have the ones that got it and the ones that kind of got the Reggie one. Like, I don't really get, like, either do it or don't do it, I guess is my thinking. Like, whatever UConn said, I'm kind of with that. Like, I don't want to get abused or not neither, but it's at the same token, like, all right, are we doing it or are we not doing it? Like, if you're going to go ahead and do it, like, let's just get it done. Like, why are we leaving it, like, but whatever. I'm sure if you get it done, you're going to find a way. She got that extra. We're talking about Roller Girl still, Angela Dawson. So I hope we're not too sidetracked here. So some might make the argument that while the physical aspects of gender reassignment have the costs covered by the Canadian public, there are limited resources available for the emotional aspects associated with reassigning genders. There is employment and wage discrimination experienced by many, and it becomes a tug of war between, for the lack of a better term, more convincing result. So they don't know where they're willing to go with it, and it's a tug of war on like how much of a conversion they're willing to kind of cover. When the therapies are applied prior to their birth, assigned hormones taking hold in pubescent age, the subject is able to grow in their desired gender and, in essence, less ground that was covered in the opposite gender direction. Ultimately, will need to be replaced. So the longer you wait, the more you gotta kind of shave off and alter. Like if your voice hasn't changed, you don't need that. So I don't know if there's different ways of explaining things that they're doing or not doing, but yeah, while society has become more accepting of transsexuality, there are still many who are less supportive of the rights of transsexual Canadians. There are many questions that remain debated. Is it fair for trans athletes to compete against those who are assigned their gender at birth? We still have many more questions than answers. My personal opinion, while we're closing, there should be like a trans division. And you just gotta like amalgamate the teams down and just have trans on trans kind of like within like their own thing and have their own leagues. That's my personal solution. I don't really feel like it's, and I always believe, and now I'm gonna get whatever, they won't even let me upload it probably, but women should be allowed to play against men. Anytime. It's women that's gotten drafted in NBA and NHL. They necessarily all of them play, but some play in the NHL. I don't see nothing wrong with women playing against men at all. But when you try to switch it back the other way, just biologically, genetically, like that's just not safe. I don't really feel like that's what needs to be done. Personally, that's my own personal opinion. If you want to play in the trans league because you don't want to play against men, and you want to play against other women, to me that makes sense. But Roller girl and other trans inmates being victimized and raped in prison is still a problem. One solution has been that housing trans inmates with those assigned at birth resulted in subsequent pregnancies for female inmates behind bars, who in some situations became victims of rape as a result of the mixing in trans inmates. It seems that trans individuals are no longer a sector of the population which can be ignored or shamed into obscurity. They are becoming more open, more common, and it does seem that trans people are a recognized part of modern society. What the future holds for Roller Girl and other trans people in Canada is still unclear. For now, just watch for pedestrians when you pull up to the busy intersections on the east side of downtown Vancouver, or you might have to deal with Roller Girl. Winnipegology.